Hello and welcome to Catholic Truths. Today we're going to be discussing a pretty hard topic, the sex abuse scandals that have been going on within the church. Also, I know today is St. Patrick's Day. I even got my little shamrock here, but this is a little bit too pressing. So this was an issue I thought I wouldn't have to really deal with or anything, but it's just getting bigger and bigger, and I've had a few people recommend that I make a video on it as a response to the issue going around the world right now. So those of you that don't know, the church is having a big phenomenon and issue right now in which we're finding out that a lot of priests and even bishops, and possibly even the Pope, but we're not 100% yet, have been covering up sex crimes throughout the past. This doesn't mean just child abuse as well. It can be anything from older teenagers to even adult seminarians. So what this implies is a lot of people want to call the priests pedophiles, but pedophile is a very specific term, and it generally means kids within a certain age. But I'll digress. Any kid can be, called that. People with kids doing that. But for more specific reasons, 81% of the abuse cases have been verified to have been adults, and specifically adult males. So what we have is an adult homosexual issue. As much as we have like Cardinal Supich and some other cardinals trying to say there's nothing homosexual about it, the statistics prove that is a lie. And we're dealing with a situation where so many people are criticizing the church right now, and for the leadership there is rightful need to do so, because we can't allow this to keep going. But as for there's a big issue going on. Like, I have a priest, of course, in my parish, and it's hard for him. He's an older man, and I can't see him have ever been doing anything wrong like this. And he's disturbed because I know he's having a hard time, because I'm sure behind the scenes he's getting threats and people are talking about him and everything just because he's a Catholic priest. We cannot hold that judgment against every single priest. In fact, if someone accuses someone, we need to make sure there is verifiable evidence before we start, blaming them for everything. It's just wrong, because if people just start pointing fingers and suddenly everybody's guilty, then we have the whole innocent until proven guilty out the window, which is starting to happen. So if you think a priest might be guilty, try to find evidence of it, make sure it's verifiable. Don't just start accusing the priest because he may have some shady look to him or something that you don't like. But there's another big issue that we're dealing with right now. And first of all, I'm going to apologize for the traffic. My kids are inside making way too much noise, and outside, as loud as this is actually quieter. But the other issue is we now have people en masse leaving the church because of the sex abuse scandal. Now, I have a problem with that, and the reason being is the men responsible for all this sex cover-up. These are men. These are fallible men. If somebody does something, someone other than you does something that makes you leave the church, then one has to question if you are truly faithful to the church or not, or if you just don't want to be associated with people that are like that within the church. The problem is, if you say, we're Catholic, and the sex abuse scandal bothered you and you became Baptist, well, guess what? Now we've got issues with the sex abuse scandal, being done by Baptists as well. And you're going to find that everywhere you go. It doesn't matter what religious group you're in, what secular group you're in, everything is going to have this problem at some point in time and some level. You cannot get away from the sins of the individual, but you cannot hold the sins of the individual responsible for the whole church. The church teaches blatantly that all of this is wrong. Priests in the Roman Rite should be celibate, first of all, so there shouldn't be any sex involved at all. But the abuse, of course, is specific. Back in the early 2000s, they, of course, came out with a charter that specified child abuse. We know that the act of homosexuality within the church is sinful. So even adult abuse in that regard is wrong, but abuse in general is wrong, of course. I'm not going to condone that in any way or fashion. But I plead to you, I beg, if you feel doubt because, say, your priest was found to be guilty of one of these sex crimes, do not blame the church for this. You can blame the individuals that are responsible for it, whether it was the priest who was guilty of it, a bishop covering him up, or whatever. That is perfectly fine, and that's where prayer comes in. And if you are a victim, we recommend that you call the police. Don't call the diocese. A lot of these bishops are saying, call the diocese, we'll take care of it. Don't. Call the police. You can contact the diocese after the fact, but call the police first if this happens to you or has happened to you. Please do that. Do not let them win. But don't let good men be blamed for things they didn't do, because this is a troubling time in the church. And I think by the time it's over, this may go all the way up to the Pope. We can't prove that 100% just yet. Some reporting is showing that Pope Francis might have been guilty of cover-up, or at least befriending people he knew were guilty. So we're just going to have to wait and see how that plays out. But my request to you is please pray for all of these men. Pray that they have a true conversion of their hearts and come back to Christ and turn themselves in like they should. For those leaving the church, please pray for them. They are making a very bad choice because they're leaving because of someone else's guilt. You should never feel guilty for something somebody else did. You are not them. Again, I'm sorry I had to make a video on this. I shouldn't have never had to make a video on this. Should have never been an issue, but of course it's a huge thing right now. So please pray for everyone involved. And then again, yes, it's St. Patrick's Day again. There's my shamrock. I had planned on making a much broader episode about St. Patrick today, but this was a little bit too compelling, and I had a few other outward signs that kept pushing me to do this video as well. So again, pray for everyone. Thank you for viewing. I'm going to ask that you would please subscribe to this video if you want to, for my channel, if you want to see more videos in the future, like it as well. Visit our Amino, follow me on Twitter, and I will see you next week. Also, all the links are provided in the description below, but I will see you next week, and God bless.